The Southern Africa Trust says around 5.9 billion rand in worker benefits remain unpaid to former mine workers in Southern Africa. The civil society movement will host various stakeholders in the industry to address this. To tell us more about the event, we are joined in studio by Ranso Mansi. He's a former miner who is also a representative of the Southern Africa Miners Association. He's accompanied by Christabel Pidi, and she is from the Southern Africa Trust. Thank you for joining us, both of you.
Thank you.
Now, for the benefit of those who don't know, what worker benefits are we actually talking about in this particular case?
So these are benefits that are owed to former mine workers and obviously the dependents and the families of deceased mine workers. These are funds that have accumulated over years. So maybe to just provide a context is that most mine workers in the South African mining industry were recruited from not only from South Africa, but from other major labor-sending countries such as Mozambique, Lesotho, Swaziland, and they came here to actually provide that labor needed in the mining industry. So obviously after completing their work and retirement and the ending of their permits, most of them have went back home and did not claim their benefits, and these benefits have been accumulating over years. So after 2 years, if you've not claimed your benefits, they then become unclaimed benefits, and these have been accumulating over 10-15 years.
Wow. And so this is where we get to the amount of 5.9 billion.
Yes. So these funds are being are held in different social security and compensation funds, and we are trying to profile this issue to say that there is need for these funds to be dispersed, and obviously this is a dialogue that we're having and the launch of the documentary this evening on the plight of these ex-mine workers.
I'll talk a little bit more about that, but I just want to bring Ranso into the conversation because we always read and hear about the plight of mine workers and the conditions that they live in, work in, and then at the end of the day retire very poor men with poor families. I mean, is this a story that is common? Is that in fact the situation?
Actually, that is true. In fact, this is a long story, it's a long journey, because actually these funds that you are talking about, some of them were made or established during the era of apartheid. It was during the times when a black man was not, given the information. Now, it was during that time when things like Provident Fund, I can make an example of, started, because it started in 1989 during the apartheid era. Before that one, there was another one that was called 1970 Mines Pension Fund, of which some of the people were part of. So they were not aware that they are part of that, these workers. So when they are about to go home for retrenchment, when the other mines are closing, when they are being expelled, they did not know that they were supposed to claim for that. This is what happened. That is why those monies remained behind.
Indeed. Now, Christabel, obviously this event that you're talking about, the launch of this documentary, it's not just South Africans that we're referring to, is it? This is also going, as you represent Southern Africa. I mean, what other countries are involved here?
So the documentary is really looking at the plight of mine workers across Southern Africa and looking at the major labor-sending countries. So we are covering Lesotho, Swaziland, Mozambique, Botswana, and Zimbabwe as well, where some of the mine workers came from. So it's looking at trying to profile this issue and trying to ensure that even mine workers that are in these countries have the opportunity, if they still have their documentation, they can still come forward and approach the different funds and see whether there's still money that is owed to them.
Great.
So we would really love to see this documentary, being aired in different spaces to ensure that mine workers are able to get this information.
And they're aware of their rights.
And aware of their rights.
But for you, Ranso, I mean, when you try and go through this, because you're aware, you know that this is there, but if you go and you try and claim or access this information, what are the kind of hurdles that stand in your way?
Actually, it becomes, very much problematic sometimes. Because sometimes when you go through to the Provident Fund, they might tell you that you are not in their systems. And in some instances, when they talk like that, you must know that they have paid it already, but now it has been channeled to somewhere else, whereby they thought that it will reach you. For an example, there are some other people whom, when they go to the Provident Fund and try to claim their monies, they are getting the answer that they've been paid. When they go to DEBA, they get it, but no one is telling them.
Yeah. Yeah.
But now, if they cannot come with the information from Provident Fund, DEBA is not saying anything.
Indeed, and that's the reality. So, so let me wrap this up, but because there must be, possibly a couple of miners that are out there, they're watching this interview, and they can't necessarily see the documentary. Where do they go? Do they contact you to try and get help, to try and access this money that they perhaps is rightfully theirs?
Yes, they can contact the Southern Africa Trust. We have a number 011-318-1012, and then we'll link them up to the relevant compensation and social security institutions where they could actually check whether their funds are actually with that particular institution.
Yeah. Yes. Fantastic. I'm going to repeat that number for you. Keep it on hand and try and perhaps try and get hold of the right people, because you may be entitled to this money and you don't even know about it because this information hasn't been given to you. It's 011-318-1012, and of course that's the Southern Africa Trust, and perhaps they can help you. 011-318-1012. Good luck with the documentary tonight.
Thank you so
and I hope
much.
it's shown all over, because people need to see this. They need to know. Is there a chance it could be shown?
Yes, there is a chance. We'll make this available. So we'd really want stakeholders that would be interested to actually air this documentary. Would want to have conversation. We'd really love it to be in every space, and so that people can be aware about this.
So thank you very, very much for joining us. You're dying to say something.
Yes.
Yes.
That one is, we have made it possible for the workers from the countries that were supplying labor force into South Africa. When we talk about Southern Africa Miners Association, it's an umbrella association whereby the national associations from the countries that these people were from, ex-mine workers associations, are affiliated at.
Okay.
Now, this is something that the people have to know about, that we have made those organizations on all over these countries that were supplying labor force into South Africa. Those are Mozambique, Swaziland, Malawi, Zimbabwe, Botswana, Lesotho, and South Africa. So that these organizations are the ones that are working together collaboratively with Southern Africa Trust.
Excellent. We'll leave it there. Thank you again, Ransford. Thank you very much for talking to us. And of course, Christabel Piri, thank you very much from the Southern Africa Trust. All right, let's quickly take a break. We've got one more interview for you after this. Stay tuned.